Hey everyone, how you doing? Good times. So I know there's nobody here yet, but eventually somebody may show up, or they might watch this a month from now. But that's not going to stop me. So I hope everybody's having a great day. Um, I had a really good day today. I got suspended from X, so clearly I'm doing something right. And oh, I was going to tell you something about X. I noticed, which is interesting. Never really seen anybody mention it before. But there's certain like stuff you can say on X, and you immediately like get flagged, and then you get like this little, um, like a little warning thing saying that your post has limited views, or it'll be throttled, or I don't know how they word it. It doesn't matter. But I don't know if anybody here has X, but try and post something and put in the phrase "synagogue of Satan," and you'll get flagged immediately, like automatically. Which I found interesting that synagogue of Satan is apparently on their naughty list. Can't wonder why. Um, Hope everybody's doing well. I'm trying to look at both feeds here. Yeah, the I don't know, the YouTube feed. I like the StreamYard feed better. I don't know why. It just seems more it's easier to navigate. So yeah, I got a few more topics to go over. Why not? Um, One thing I noticed is you can't go on any social media, and I really just use YouTube. And I did browse X every now and again, but apparently now I'm on their naughty list for I think it said like 6 days or 7 days. I don't know. So I'll have to just do without. So, but I noticed that like at least I know they sort of um, structure like what they feed you based on some sort of algorithm, and I can't escape this Trump thing with uh, with Epstein. It's just all these people calling out. I guess MAGA's upset, or some of MAGA's upset. The real ball riders are still on board, but there's a lot of people that are freaking out. And it seems like, and a lot of them are saying like, don't let up on this, keep the pressure on. And here's what they don't understand. Okay, well, first of all, Donald Trump is a very vindictive individual. He does not like uh, people not basically worshiping him. If you say something bad about him, it really hurts his feelers. Like he was at, I don't know, I guess the soccer tournament or the soccer championships. I'm not gay, so I don't watch soccer. But when they showed him on the jumbotron or whatever, I guess there was a lot of boos. Uh, Trump don't like that. So, oh, by the way, how's my audio? I'm using like these earbud things I plug in, and I don't know if it's like I'm too loud, I'm too quiet, or what the deal is. So, if you could let me know how the audio is, that'd be great. But so all these people are really really bagging on the old Trumpy. So he's extremely vindictive, narcissistic, and I don't think he has empathy for anyone other than himself. And okay, cool, thank you. Uh, what people don't understand is generally, I mean, even in most cases, not even including this one, when too many people start noticing something and really making a noise, they always do something to take your mind off it, and it usually doesn't. It's not good for you. Like it's not going to end well for us. It'll be. I mean, it could be a major false flag, grid down. It could be World War III. It's got to be something that really takes everybody's mind off it. Then you throw into the equation that you're dealing with Trump, probably the most egomaniacal narcissist who's ever held this position. I don't think that um, it's going to end the way a lot of people are hoping it'll end because, like I've said before, Trump is disgusting. He's a degenerate, if people knew half of the things he's really done in his life, I think everybody would probably vomit, even the hardcore ones. But um, he's not stupid. I mean, he's kind of stupid in certain ways, but as far as when it comes to his ego and how he's perceived, I think he takes that very seriously. And right now, I haven't seen like approval ratings because those are probably fake and gay anyway. But I would imagine it's abysmal because a lot of people are not happy with with old Donald and his DOJ right now. But I just want to warn all. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you just don't. He's got like a limit, and he's going to do something, or some event will be greenlit. Um, because if people won't let this Epstein thing go, they're going to give you something to divert your attention away from it. And it's probably not going to be something elsewhere in the world because that's not going to get the effect they want. It's going to be domestic. It's going to be right here. It's going to be something that impacts everyone on a personal level. So just be careful what you wish for. Granted, like the whole thing's disgusting, but it's a double-edged sword. I like that there's people holding his feet to the fire, even though I think the whole thing's nonsense. But I just don't know if they understand kind of what they're getting themselves into. Because you're not going to get a list with all the names that you want. Okay, that's not going to happen. Um, I don't think Trump's just going to take abuse for the next 3.5 years. So that leaves the option where basically something goes kinetic. And I don't know. It's interesting times. It, I've got I've got to think on it some more. I've been thinking about stuff because I do believe he's the son of perdition. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how this works into it. Unless a lot of people think that the son of perdition gets his powers because everybody thinks he's so awesome. And a lot of people claim like, oh, the whole world loves the man of lawlessness, and a lot of people don't like Trump. Well, that a lot of people don't understand how much other countries do like Trump. But I'm starting to think it might not be a voluntary that people like him. If I'm not totally sure, the Bible says I'd have to look for it that everybody loves him. They obey him. They choose to worship him because they're given an ultimatum, and a lot of people don't have the faith to accept the other choice. But it might be more of a forceful, uh, sort of like what do they call him, dear leader or whatever in North Korea. Like everybody's like, they don't love Kim, whatever, Jung Un, whatever his name is, Ting Tao. They don't love him, but they give the appearance of it, and they say they do because the alternative is not good for them. So I think it's sort of similar. Um, when the Antichrist comes into power, it's not that everybody loves him; it's that they're given two choices, and they're not strong enough to choose the one they should, so they take the easier road and follow the beast. So that's just kind of where my thoughts are on this whole thing with the Epstein. Um, let me see. I've got some. I've got a few notes here. Oh, and then I've been seeing a lot of stuff about people complaining about how taxation is theft. It's weird how trends kind of come and go, and then they come back. And a lot of people complaining about taxes and the economy, and is it right to pay property taxes on land you already own, and just the rehashing the same old stuff. Here's how I see it when it comes to taxes. Okay, they don't need your money. They print money, they just push some numbers on a keyboard and they make however much they need. The only reason you pay taxes is to fuck with you. And I can prove it that it's just for control and messing with you. Um, so a lot of people are claiming that AI is going to and has already started taking over jobs. And they're saying, yeah, when AI is going to start replacing all these people that do X, Y, and Z. Um, and I agree. I'm sure it will. But like, there's the only type of jobs that AI won't be able to take over are like the trades. Like AI is not going to be able to be a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter. It just can't. But all the useless, which is kind of interesting because during the lockdowns, remember they had the what they call them? Somebody help me out here. If your job, like if it was what I mean, it was like a super insult. It was like not the what was the phrase they used? If your job was oh, I didn't really participate in it, so I don't remember. I just remember they had a phrase for if your job fell into this category, you got to work, but if it didn't, then you had to stay home and hide. Well, dang it! So I don't tip my tongue too. Anyway, um, what was it? If jobs are, oh, come on, somebody help me out here. Um, like basically like necessary. Like if you didn't have one of those jobs, you were like, it was like a double zinger because it was like you can't go to work because like what you do is nobody cares. It's not actually contributing to society, so just stay home and shut up. Um, but where's I going with this? Oh, so like I said, there's certain like the trades AI can't replace, but there's a lot of like just junk jobs out there that of course AI will replace. Anything to do with like customer service or the tech industry, even Hollywood movies and stuff, they don't need script writers and directors and actors and grips and best boy and all those. They don't need any of it. Yeah, essential. That's right. There's a lot of non-essential, and I always thought because, like I said, I didn't really participate in the whole lockdown thing. I didn't. Well, I'm not gay, so. But I remember when I heard like essential workers and non-essential, I was like, wow, that's it's almost like giving you a paper cut and pouring lemon juice on it. But so there's a ton of and they're going to automate things. So transportation, taxi drivers, Uber drivers, bus drivers, train conductors, um, long haul truckers, all that stuff you're going to be replaced. Okay. So if and I don't know, what do you think? That's like, what do you think AI could replace? 80%, 85% of all jobs, which are clearly non-essential, if you can be replaced by AI. Um, but here's what I've never heard anybody mention this. So let's say they replace, let's just say 50% of people are suddenly jobless because their job was replaced by AI. Okay, that tells you two things. Well, maybe one, but there's two ways of looking at it. That taxation is clearly just to fuck with you. They don't need the money because AI is not going to get taxed on the job that you just got replaced doing that you were taxed on. So that's all you really need to know about taxation. So if they take, like, if you get replaced, let's say you're a, I don't know, you're a waiter at a restaurant and you make $10 an hour plus tips. So you're making, let's just say you work at a good place. Let's say you're making 40 grand a year. And they tax you what, 30% of your 40 grand, and then they replace you. That AI that replaced you isn't going to get taxed. So they're just fucking with you and they don't actually need the revenue. So that's my take on the whole taxes thing because people complain about taxation is theft, blah blah blah, and those people have been doing that for years, and they kind of pop up every now and again, and everybody jumps on board. Then they go away and nothing happens. But nobody ever mentions the fact that not only is it like, oh, they shouldn't be taking this, they shouldn't be taking any because they don't need it. They're only doing it to mess with your head and your your standard of living, and so that you have to have two jobs and you can barely make your rent, and it's just mind control and anxiety. They're just they're just effing with you. The other thing I was going to talk about was I don't have a lot of stuff. I just a couple things I've noticed, like the whole Trump thing. I don't think it's going to end well for people if they keep pushing him because he's a dick, and that's kind of what dicks do. Is they have like a line, and once it's crossed, and like I said, his ego is like no other. But oh, here's the good news. I forgot to tell everybody. Um, I decided to hell with it and got a sponsor. I figured, hey, if all these people are getting paid, I'm gonna get paid. So I want all your money now. So I'm gonna play this quick ad for my sponsor, and you're just gonna have to sit through it and live with it because that's how I roll. I want money. So here we go, and welcome my newest sponsor.
Hi, I'm Robert Lee. I own Coleman Liquidation. I sell mobile homes. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to tell it just like it is. These are mobile homes, not mansions. They come in two pieces. If that's what you're looking for, that's what I got. They're used. Some of them have stains. We cover that up. She decorates them. She sells them. These guys help me move them. A bouncer in Birmingham hit me in the face with a crescent wrench 5 times. And my wife's boyfriend broke my jaw with a fence post. So if you don't buy a trailer from me, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings. So come on down to Coleman Liquidation and get yourself a home. Or don't. I don't care.
All right, so I'm now officially a shill, and you should you should buy a mobile home from my sponsor. I know most people sell like little trinkets and nonsense stuff. My sponsor sells entire mobile homes. So, and say what you want, but I mean, you can actually live in it. So it's actually better than the garbage that most people use for their sponsors, like credit checks and stupidity. So um, I hope you enjoyed my sponsor. Bill's a really cool dude, and I appreciate them coming on board the contingency plan family. So I was gonna get back to some psyops that are one is just fantastic. It's it's one of my favorites because of the level of retardation it takes to fall for it. And I could go with the whole Epstein thing, or I could go with Einstein or Tesla or the Revolutionary War, or spherical Earth or the moon landings. No, 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 that's too easy. We're gonna go with one of my favorites because it's so poorly. Sometimes they really do just mock you openly. Um, and that my one of my favorites is Stephen Hawking, the speak and spell guy. I think towards the end that the Stephen Hawking character wasn't even human; that it was more of just a every time I try and say this word, I need to think of another word that means the same thing because I can never say it right. Like an automaton. I don't know if that's even a word, but like an advanced Jim Henson Muppet. Um, and I don't think that the later, like the version, I don't know, 4.0, Stephen Hawking was even a human being. I think the first part, I think what happened, so he apparently had ALS. Well, the life expectancy of ALS is 5 years, and you're gone. He somehow toughed it out. I think it was 40 or 50 years that he lived with ALS. A real trooper. And one thing that was really interesting was they had the ALS official website, and he was listed on there for years. And then when people started calling it out, saying like, "Why is this guy like on year 48 with ALS?" And they pulled him off the website, the official ALS website, and then the character died like right after that. It was fascinating. They do that a lot when when they get called out, and then it's sort of like with Trump with Epstein. There's a level that when they get when it's reached, they have to pull the plug. And when a bunch of people started calling out the fact that Hawking had had ALS for 50 years, they took him off the ALS website of like people, celebrities. Or they had, I think it was known individuals that were suffering from ALS. They pulled his name off there. It'd been on there for like decades or years. And then shortly after that, they retired his character and like he finally died. He should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest living sufferer of ALS. I doubt it. They kind of they don't really talk about him anymore. Like it's sort of like the Helen Keller. If you look into Helen Keller, it's mind blowing. Okay, I mean like the Baby Truther 101 version of Helen Keller is Stevie Wonder. When people are like Stevie Wonder can see, and it's, yeah, no kidding. The Helen Keller one is fascinating. Deaf, dumb, and blind, and the way she communicated with her, I say handler, but it was her interpreter, is again mockery. If you've ever seen it where she just takes her fingers and just starts twitching them really fast in this lady's palm, and she can tell you what it's ludicrous. Plus, Helen Keller was a pilot. She flew planes. I think you can still find photographs of her like in the cockpit, like flying like a biplane. It's absolutely and then her voice, speech, whatever is absurd, but um, interesting. I think Helen Keller was born in, I think it was Alabama, something like that. Basically deaf, dumb, and blind since birth. And then when she spoke, which is like that kind of weird shit that like you can't tell what she's saying, but of course her interpreter completely understands her. She spoke with a British accent. I mean, just a fascinating psyop on many levels. But even that doesn't touch the Stephen Hawking. Now, when this first started, he had an interpreter, and then they had to eventually move to the speak and spell, which was ludicrous. Oh, he looked at the screen with his eyes and spelled words, and then I mean, it's nonsense. Even today, they don't have technology that. And why did they make his voice sound so stupid? Like, why did he have to sound like a speak and spell? They could have given him the Helen Keller British accent because he allegedly was from England and Helen Keller was like from Alabama, but she had a British accent and his speak and spell didn't. It's like I said, there's a lot of levels. But at some point, I'm going to show you the way that they used to interpret what he was saying. And I think you'll notice pretty quickly why they had to switch to the speak and spell because, and I don't know how many years, you can tell by the way he looks that this is pretty early on. So they may have run this for quite a while before they switched to the speak and spell. But so let me give you a warning first about what you're about to see. And I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing because this is maybe I think this is several minutes long. Um, and honestly, I can't take this voice for that long. But just to hear, so his voice when he's talking, he literally sounds like a hybrid between Chewbacca and Cookie Monster if the Cookie Monster was just flat out blackout hammered on like homemade vodka and fentanyl. When you hear this voice, it's going to blow your mind. And then the fact that his interpreter tells you what he's saying is probably the greatest um, form of mockery and how they really think of you that I've ever seen in my life. So Watch this. It is truly mind blowing. And again, I'm not going to play a lot of it because it is um, brutal. But just listen to what's coming out of his mouth and then listen to what his interpreter says he's saying. Fantastic.
I think I knew from about the age of 9 or 10 that I wanted to be a scientist. Most of my activities, like playing with model fireworks or model railways or playing complicated games, was aimed in some way at finding out how the world worked around me.
So in a sense, you went from modeling planes to modeling the universe.
I was never very good with my hands, or my models did not work very well. But I was always interested in models.
Okay, I can't take anymore. That was absolutely. I got to give him credit for that. I mean, that was a form of mockery that I don't think they'll ever top that. Even when they switched to the Speak and Spell version, no way. That, like I said, even the Helen Keller fingering the palm of the lady's hand can't hold a candle to that. Um, Again, Cookie Monster on vodka and fentanyl and Chewbacca had a baby. That's how it talked, and that guy was fluent in that language, which is mind blowing that anyone fell for that, and they think that this world is real. Okay, um, I don't know how many of you guys have seen that clip before, but it's one of my favorites. I have to admit. So I don't know if I might just end on that because that's like a pretty high. That's a pretty high bar to end on. Um, I was literally laughing during watching that, but I can only take so much of it. It goes on. That was maybe a third of that video clip. If you ever want to see the whole thing, which I don't know why you would, you can find it on YouTube still under um, what do they call it? It's like interviewing Stephen Hawking with interpreter or something like that. Absolutely fascinating. And so, I mean, that's anybody who thinks that this world is real. There's still people talking about voting, and it's just, I mean, well, Sheepdog, you don't know how to speak Cookie Monster or Wookiee. Um, yeah, he was just, I mean, he wasn't saying anything. He was probably trying to tell that guy that he'd shit his pants and needed cleaned up. But the guy's like, when I was younger, I couldn't model very well, so I transitioned to theoretical. I mean, and he's Steven's over there like, shit pants, help. I mean, like I said, I think the first version of Stephen Hawking was a real guy that had ALS and probably died within a few years. But to think that they would take somebody in that shape and use him as basically a puppet, like a propaganda piece to push basically the Big Bang and nonsense, which funny now they've pretty much said that the Big Bang and the evolution isn't is nonsense, and so like the stuff they put that guy through, like it lasted for a while, but then they like basically they flipped the script a lot, and so I mean, there's the fact that it's inhuman to put somebody who's dying of a terminal illness and use him as basically a muppet, and just a form of mockery, um, and then flip the script later after he's gone and just like, it, it worked for a while, but now they're basically they've replaced or they're in the process of replacing evolution with panspermia. So now it's the Anunnaki came down here and seeded humans. It's actually worse. The evolution, like saying that over millions of years you went from like pond scum to a monkey, again, mockery. Like your ancestors were like pond scum and monkeys. I mean, they're literally just stick it right in your face. But I don't know. I think I'd even prefer that over the fact that the Anunnaki, which is just that's the History Channels and the Chariots of the Gods. Um, that's the name they use for the Nephilim. So anytime you hear Anunnaki, it's just Nephilim, um, or the Watchers, the fallen angels. So they're basically telling you that the fallen angels and or their offspring seeded and created humanity. So again, it's just another form of mockery and utter nonsense. But like I said, I think I prefer the pond scum over just saying that because it's an inversion of what God did by saying that those who rebelled against God are the ones who are responsible for you being here. Um, no, you're not going to be able to understand that video because he's got ALS. Like he's not actually saying words. Again, I think he's trying to convey the fact that he shit his pants, but there's no actual words in that Wookiee speak. Um, you could reverse it, slow it down, whatever. It's still going to be that's all you're going to get out of it. But I don't know. We need to track down that translator. I mean, the skills that guy had. I mean, how is he not extremely well known and famous? He probably died before they killed off the like the version 4.0 Stephen Hawking Muppet. I mean, he didn't look that healthy to begin with, and uh, yeah, he may have said soiled, but because he's British, so he's going to be polite. He's not going to say I shit my bloomers, my pantaloons, but he may have said I soiled my dungarees or something. But yeah, I mean it was, and you know, ALS is like you still have your faculties, but like everything basically betrays you. So his mind was still working. So imagine him, he's probably going, "You son of a bitch, why are you doing this to me?" Because he knows that he's not saying anything that anybody can hear, and he's got this clown sitting next to him translating, and he's like, "That's not even close to what I'm saying. I'm calling you a piece of shit, and I also telling you I shit my pants." So I mean, not only did they just like completely degrade this poor individual with a terminal illness, but he was aware of what they were doing. So just talk about evil. Ugh. But anyway, unless somebody has another topic or a subject, that's about it. I just had a few things. That I think if you continue to see this push on the Epstein files, expect something to go down. Something that'll take your mind off Epstein, if you know what I mean. And AI taking over your jobs proves they don't need your tax money. They're just doing it to mess with you. And Stephen Hawking. If you've not looked into the Amelia Earhart, not Amelia Earhart, what was her name? Helen Keller, PSYOP, that's pretty brutal too. And then you're like, well, why would they have somebody that was like pushing? Why would you have a fake deaf, dumb, and blind person? Helen Keller pushed really hard. I think it was either eugenics or like an early form of feminism. Like she laid the foundation. She quote unquote wrote books. I'm drawing a blank on what they used her for. It might have been eugenics, or it might have been, like I said, an early version of feminism. I sort of think it was eugenics that she was. That's why they created the character of Helen Keller. How that all works, I don't know. They were weird back then. I mean, they've always been weird, but people were a lot easier to fool back then. I mean, even up to the moon landing, well, even like all of it really, 9/11. Well, the Trump thing in Butler, Pennsylvania, I guess we haven't improved. I mean, everybody's still, for the most part, you can fool them with anything shiny. Um, if you go back now and watch, it's like how if you like, I always liked like Terminator 2 when I was young, or I guess I wasn't young. I'm pretty old now, so I was, I wasn't like a teenager. I was older. But when like say Terminator 2 came out, I remember like, oh, Terminator 2 is cool. You watch it now and it's really dated. Any of the movies that you thought were just the bomb growing up, like what was that one? What's the one Bruce Willis did? Die Hard. If you watch that now, even Predator, stuff like that, like I can kind of see why they remake a lot of movies now instead of coming up with new ones. Because when you watch the originals, they're really dated, especially the ones from the 80s and the 90s. They just have that. It's like they didn't know how to really work a camera, or I don't know. It was weird. Because like you can watch older movies, like even movies from like the 40s and 50s, and well, the 40s, some of those are pretty bad too when you watch them. Even if you watch like the Clark Gables, the Spencer Tracys, the Cary Grants, they're like a lot of it's like that. Yeah, saying it's very dated. And if you go back and watch like Terminator 2, it's super dated. Like it's like, oh yeah, I can see through this now. It's not as realistic as I remember, back when I first saw it. They kind of do that with well, the psyops kind of work the same way. Like if a lot of people now, if you go back and look at like the 9/11 footage, it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's pretty bad. They make a lot of mistakes, but I think they do it on purpose. They give themselves that out. Like, well, we showed them. I mean, it was obvious, and they believed it. So then it's on you, and that's how the Butler PA thing is. I mean, I thought on day one, honestly, when it first happened, I thought it was a skit. And then when I realized, like, oh no, they're serious. Like they're saying that somebody clipped his ear with a, and I was like, whoa, this is. And my next thought was, oh my God, they must be in panic mode because that was so poorly executed and so obviously fake that they must be kind of like, uh-oh, they're gonna, this one's gonna bite us. And then it was like everybody ran with it, and I was like, oh my God. Um, if you go back now and watch that, I mean, it's only been what, a year. It is one of the worst executed things you will ever see. Like if it was like even a low budget movie like Gravitas Ventures movie, they would have yelled cut and redone it because they was just ridiculous. And but they put stuff in it like those just ridiculous Secret Service people. That one that looks like Jenny, what's her name? Melissa McCarthy didn't know how to holster a gun, and the fact that they let him stand on the stage for like it was like 58 seconds or something ludicrous. It was so they put stuff in there that like, oh, if you don't see how ridiculous this is, then it's on you. And there's still to this day, every now and again, you'll be watching someone talking about Trump, and they'll be like, you know, they've already tried to assassinate him. Let me tell you something. If the powers that be really wanted him gone, they wouldn't. What you saw on that video on in Pennsylvania is not how it would go down. Okay, it would be a guarantee. All right, it wouldn't be like God saved him, moved his head. No, he would be done. Um, God didn't save him from a skit, and that was one of the most poorly executed. Like I said, they would have yelled cut and reshot that because it was, well, I mean, it was ridiculous, absurd, and awful. But I think they had to keep it at a level where if you have any functioning gray matter at all, you can see it. And if you fell for it, it's like, all right, it's just like COVID, exactly the same. Like if you buy this nonsense, they put all the dancing nurses, which were clearly professional dancers that choreographed a routine, put masks on, and that was genius. Because like if you worked at, say, the hospital where this dancing nurse's TikTok video went viral, like say you were a janitor, and they, it was like they weren't wearing masks, you'd be like, I don't recognize a single individual. That none of these people work where I work. But because of the mask thing, they can just put professional dancers in there and do their little Shakira, Madonna choreographed dance routine. And the fact that like the narrative was how busy there was people dying, they were stepping over them, they were working 29 hours a day, but they had time to choreograph this thing, and then like they were. I mean, it was so ludicrous that I mean, it was a shit test, is what it was. And when they saw people fell for it, it was like, all right, well, keep going. These idiots are falling for it. And that's kind of how their psyops work. Is they make them, to me, just awful. Like they're like Benny Hill sketch level real authenticity. Like when you see Benny Hill sketch, you're not like, oh my god, that's real. What's that guy do? You know it's a Benny Hill sketch, right? You don't think, oh my, this is real. It's obvious what you're watching. That's what these are like, and they do it on purpose because it's like watching an episode of Friends and getting mad at one of the actors because they did something that it's like they can't even put the fact that you're watching it's fake. Okay, so these people getting mad at whoever, and it's like if you've noticed lately, it's nonstop. They've always got like a little annoying thing. Like there's what's that? There's some black woman now. I think her last name's Crockett. I guess she's like quote unquote a Democrat, and she's like this annoying little tick that they put out a video like once a week or every couple of weeks of her saying something that's just scripted to piss people off, and then they promote her as like, yeah, she's one of the top Democratic, runners for 2028, and it's just, but there's like dozens of those tiny little annoying narratives running simultaneously with the bigger ones, and it's just nonstop at this point. That's why I don't think we have a lot of time left as far as the biblical timeline, because there's no way the world can just maintain this pace. It's not feasible to maintain this pace. And I think with the perception of time speeding up and the advancement of like what they call AI and how it's like, oh, every 2 months it like triples and whatever their thing is. And and everybody's pointing their finger. Oh, it's CERN, it's HARP, it's NextRad, it's the Democrats, it's Israel. It's this pace cannot continue. Something's going to give, and I'm surprised that we're not seeing a lot of, I mean, like a lot of people popping off, like just snapping. I mean, you see it with like the black fatigue, but they've always behaved that way because they have no impulse control, and so they just react on. It's sort of like an insect. Oh, it's just instinctually reacting. It doesn't think. They've always done that. I mean, yeah, you see it a lot more now because TikTok's a thing now, and everybody has a cell phone. But that's not new behavior. That's how they act. That's like that savage mindset with just no thought of repercussions or empathy or shame. That's that's nothing new. But I'm just talking about like your average people. And I don't live anywhere near a city, so I don't know what people see. I only see what's fed to me by whoever controls the information flow. But I'm really surprised that we don't see people just popping off literally constantly and everywhere. Just like the movie Network. Yeah, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Because I know there's people who I don't know if they're like numbing themselves with like just copious amounts of drugs and alcohol or what, but I'm just surprised that we're not just hearing about just nonstop people just literally going like insane in public and taking as many out with them as they can. Um, so like, basically, what I'm saying is the rate that stuff's happening and as fast as it's coming, it's not sustainable. So something's going to happen either to like wipe out a lot of people, distract a lot of people, or or like I said, like a grid down where people just start killing each other for resources, or just pass away because they don't have any skill set that will enable them to survive without Uber Eats and television. So yeah, I mean something's, like I said, something has to happen because what we've got going now is increasing, and I already look at it as like not sustainable. So I mean, a month from now, 6 months from now, it's going to be way worse, and something has to happen, either manufactured or just people just snapping in mass, like not just one here, one there, but literally just people going, that's it. I'm going out and I'm taking as many with me. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, but because from what I can tell, people's mental health is not good. I don't know what's holding some of these people together. But anyway, take care, and I hope everybody has a great day tomorrow. God bless.